What is the deal, YouTube? What's the deal, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. So today, if you follow me on Facebook, I posted it on Facebook. I am going to do my top 5 Miami Dolphin players of all time. I was going to do it in a different type of video, maybe a video that I edited, but I decided to do it live. And I also want to hear from you. What is your top 5 players? First of all, let me say that there will be a lot of players that will people will feel like I snubbed on this list. I only made it 5 players deep, so it leaves it open for a lot of conversation down in the comment section on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at casual at KSUWELL as we talk sports. So let's dive right into this, man. Starting with my number 5 player. My number 5 Dolphin of all time, and one of the first, definitely one of the first defenders that I can remember truly enjoying watching on the field for the Miami Dolphins. Number 5 for me goes to Brian Cox. A tough, gritty linebacker, played with a lot of emotion, strong tackler, and a leader on the field. Now, the thing about Brian Cox is I really hate that he ended up going to different teams throughout his career. I wish he would have stayed a Miami Dolphin his full career. But he was definitely one of the first defenders as a Dolphin that I can remember. So that he kicks off my list at number 5. The number 5 player on this list, for me at least, top 5 Miami Dolphin players of all time goes to Brian Cox. So number 4 was a member of our secondary, a phenomenal safety, and if you know who I'm talking about, you probably already have the name on your lips already before I even say his name. Of course, number 4 for me is Mr. Louis Oliver. Dynamic safety, man. Always around the ball, always coming up with interceptions and making big plays. Louis Oliver was a terrific safety. I don't remember everything about Louis Oliver. I just remember watching Louis Oliver play the safety position and thinking, wow, we have a damn good safety back there for the Miami Dolphins. And once again, this is another player that ended up playing for different teams that should have never went anywhere else. So my number 4 player on my top 5 list, top 5 Miami Dolphins of all time, is Louis Oliver. Number 3, of course, number 3 is the only current Dolphin on this list. Definitely my favorite player on the team right now, even though I don't understand re-signing him coming off of the injury plague. You know who I'm talking about. I don't even have to say his name. I'm talking about Mr. Cameron Wake. Of course, everybody knows his story. Out of the CFL, comes onto the Dolphin scene and becomes a phenomenon. A man who, you know, terrific sacks, excellent burst off the ends. Now, I see people saying that he might be a 3rd down player at this point, and that might be true. It might be time. That's why I thought we should have went a little bit younger and maybe got someone in the draft, considering we have Wake and we have Mario Williams that just came off of a 5-sack season. But whatever the case may be, Cameron Wake is my number 3 on my top 5 Miami Dolphins of all time. Now, this is where it gets real tough. It gets real tough between the number 2 and the number 1, because both of these guys equally had a huge impact, and both of these guys, both of these players, for me, were just so great of players that it's kind of difficult for me to say that one of them or the other you know, deserves this spot. So at number 2, which I kind of went back and forth with these two guys, because to me, either one of them could have been number 1 or number 2. But at the number 2 spot on my all-time Miami Dolphins, I have number 54, Zack Thomas. If you are a longtime Dolphin fan and you do not remember how great Zack Thomas was, go back, put the film on, and watch how much this guy was around the football. Just an amazing middle linebacker. And of course, he's another one of those fucking players that should have been in the Dolphin uniform the entire time in his career, and he ended up being a fucking Dallas Cowboy, which is just, geez. But no, like I say, it was interchangeable between my number 2 and my number 1. For those of you guys who know me and watch me often, you should know who my favorite Dolphin player is of all time, because he's one of the only jerseys that I rock all the time when I'm doing Miami Dolphin videos. But it was kind of hard to choose which one of these guys was going to be number 1 between Zack Thomas and my number 1 player. And of course, my number 1 Dolphin player of all time, one of my favorite players to ever watch in the NFL, one of the greatest defensive ends to ever play the game. I'm talking about Jason Taylor. You should have already known Jason Taylor was going to be on this list. He was going to be the number 1. The greatest Miami Dolphin I've ever witnessed in a Miami Dolphin uniform. Now, what are the snubs? What are the snubs? Because there's a few snubs. I guess you could start off with one of the snubs. Will probably be Ricky Williams. Ricky was a tremendous running back for us. I'm not really an offensive guy though. Like I'm not a guy like you got to be really special for me to stick you into my top 5. I'm not really no offensive guy. A couple people gonna say Dan Marino. I fucking hated Dan Marino, dog. I fucking hated Dan Marino with a passion. And you know, at the same time Dan Marino was playing, Steve Young was playing. That was my favorite quarterback. I was a Dolphin fan, but I loved Steve Young. See if you could pick up a pattern here. My quarterbacks back in that time were Steve Young, John Elway, and Randall Cunningham. What do they all have in common? Look at Dan Marino's skill set. Look at Steve Young, Randall Cunningham, and John Elway. That tells you everything you need to know. I can't stand no motherfucking quarterback that can't do shit but stand in a clean pocket and throw. I hated that shit. And that's why Dan Marino will never make no list for me. I don't give a fuck how fast his delivery was. If you couldn't protect that man, you was losing. Anyway, who else? Ricky Williams, Dan Marino, Mark Clayton, Mark Duper, Sam Madison, Patrick Surtain. I almost put Sam Madison in the top 5, but I thought Louis Oliver was better. I thought Louis Oliver had a bigger impact. Who else? Richmond Webb, Nick Bonacani, John Offerdahl. I didn't get to see Nick Bonacani, but I've heard some great things about him. Like Nick Bonacani was before my time. I wasn't even thought about when he was playing. Larry Zonka, Mercury Morris. Again, all of those guys are before I even existed. So I never got to see those guys play. My list was more so of guys that I've got to see play. You know, I'm pretty sure there's some older dudes who will have other names. Bob Greasy. I've heard about all these guys, but all I've seen is highlights. I never got to see them play in a live game. I don't know. Anyway, man, I want to know what you guys think, man. What is your top 5 Miami Dolphins of all time? Who would you put on a short list of Miami Dolphins? Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Jason Taylor, Zack Thomas for sure. Anyway, man, fuck, it's gonna be a while since it's gonna be a while for me to make a video on this channel because I really don't have shit to talk about for the next month or so, 2 months or so before we hit preseason. And I don't really do anything else here, but unless some breaking news or something comes out as far as the team, I ain't gonna have anything to put here. It's about to be a boring ass time of the year. There's no basketball. The only thing we're gonna have is UFC and boxing. At least for me. Maybe I'll put some Marlins stuff on here. Maybe we'll start talking a little bit of Miami Marlins, but I'm not really big into Marlin baseball. I haven't really been into it for a while. I haven't been into Marlin baseball since the Gary Sheffield days, pretty much. So, and the Luis Castillas and fuck, I forget his name. Edgar Renerias and Luis Castilla, Edgar Renneria, Gary Sheffield, Charles Johnson. Would you look to see in Miami? Who are you looking forward to see grow into the second season? I definitely want to see. I want to see Tony Lippett, man. Tony Lippett is the X factor, especially in that secondary. He's big. He's got tremendous ball skills, but he's just raw. I want to see him grow into a corner. I know he has a strength in this defense. It's supposed to have. It's supposed to be based on the press. So he's big. He's a big corner, and I love big corners. Jason Jones coming to the Miami Dolphins. I like it. Another one of those borderline starter guys. Had 5 sacks for the Detroit Lions. Gives us some depth. I like that move. We severely needs it. Worries on the team for me is the secondary. That's the secondary and the defensive line. And I don't think we got Xavier Howard, and we'll see how that works out. The problem is that for me, I don't know if we have enough pressure to get after the quarterback. You should do a top 5 worst Dolphin players. I don't even. Ted Ginn. Did I say Ted Ginn? No. Yeah, man. But you know what? Maybe I will do that. Maybe I will do that. Do a worst top 10, especially worst draft picks. How many of you guys remember picking John Avery instead of Randy Moss? This team has did some dumb shit. We picked John Avery over Randy Moss. We picked Ted Ginn. I think he was like the 6th pick. That motherfucker couldn't catch a cold. Who else? What is his name? I forget that fucker's name. He was a cornerback. Jason Allen, remember him? We picked him, and that motherfucker, we moved him to safety. He was trash. We moved him back to corner. He was trash. He went to the Texans and was trash, and now he's out of it's trash. It wouldn't be that difficult for me to do a top 5. I could do a top 5 and not even have to think about it. Ted Ginn, John Avery, Jason Allen, Dan Marino. I fucking hated Dan Marino. There was this one running back that we drafted. We drafted this running back in the 1st round, right? And the motherfucker went and broke into somebody's house. Y'all remember that shit? Yeah, I love the Ronnie Brown pick. Ronnie Brown, Ricky, That was the only time. I mean, in the last, what, 15 years, we've been in a playoff team. Ronnie Brown, Ricky, and Chad Pennington as the quarterback. Damn, I forget that guy's name. We drafted him like the 2nd round. And he went and broke into somebody's house. Oh, yeah, and Deion Jordan. But we got to stay on the fence with Deion Jordan, though, because he could turn. I mean, he's coming back now. If he busts out this year, then he'll definitely go on the list. He'll definitely go on the fucking list, because look at what we gave up to get him. Look what pick we picked him as, and he has done absolutely nothing. I forget that fucker's name. I forget his name. He was supposed to be a fucking good running back for us. I'm gonna look that shit up. Hold on. Let me look this shit up. Cecil Collins. Remember his dumb ass? Remember Cecil Collins? Remember his dumb ass? He was supposed to be a good running back for us. Cecil Collins was drafted by the Dolphins, became the starting running back as a rookie, and then saw his career end as quickly as it began when he was arrested for breaking into a house late in his rookie year and sentenced to 15 years. Stupid bastard. And he was looking good as a running back. He was looking like he was going to be a beast. And the dumb motherfucker, tell me how this makes sense. Yo, dumbass, you're in a profession where you can make millions. And you go and you draft and you break into somebody's house. Fucking idiot. Yeah. Yeah. He played one rookie season, and then the next thing I know, I saw a news report. This being reported on the nightly news. Miami Dolphin player Cecil Collins has been arrested for breaking and entering, and that was the last time I heard of his dumb ass. Fucking ridiculous. And he was gonna be a decent running back.
That's one thing about the Dolphins. He'll get rid of your quick.
He was gonna be a good running back. The motherfucker caught a 15-year sentence. 15 years. Wow. Yep. Fucking idiot. Anyway, man, I'm out of here. If you're not following me on Twitter, make sure that you follow me on Twitter @Casual. I might do a top 5 worst Miami Dolphins of all time. It's not going to be that difficult. Video will literally take 5 minutes. I already know who number 1 is. I know who number 2 is. Yatil Green got to make that list too. You guys don't remember Yatil Green. We drafted Yatil Green out of the University of Miami. And I don't even think he even started a game. He got hurt, and then he got hurt again, and that was it for his career. We've done some dumb shit in the first round of the draft, yo. We have really done some ridiculous shit in the first round of the draft. We have to have the worst first round draft picks of any team I've ever seen. That's why every time we get ready to draft in the first round, I start cringing. Because we've done some really ridiculous shit in the first round. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys next time, man. Peace.